We got to get excited about this. It's carnivore time. We're going to do 2 weeks of the carnivore diet, and we're going to see what it does to our bodies, what it does to our minds, how we feel. This is completely unbiased. This is flat out self-experimentation at its finest, and I hope that you're joining in with me. So this is day 1, and I want to do everyone a service by breaking down a sample meal plan. Now, the nice thing is with carnivore, the meal plans are pretty darn simple. However, there are some things you need to be paying attention to, specifically because carnivore is all about an anti-inflammatory immunological response. We're trying to get the body back down to baseline. So there's certain spices you want to avoid, and I recommend a specific sequence with different types of meats throughout the day in order to get the best response. So I'm going to break it all down for you so you have the goods to get through this with me. So I invite you to join me on 2 weeks of carnivore starting now. You are tuned into the internet's leading performance, nutrition, and fat loss channel with new videos every single Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday at 7 a.m. Pacific time. We do all kinds of stuff: keto, fasting, lots of self-experimentation, and lots of challenges like this one. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and also make sure you hit that bell button, and that way you always get notifications so you never miss a single beat when I post a video. All right, so let's get to this. First of all, the carnivore diet is all about getting your body back down to baseline. When you don't have a lot of things coming in, your immune system seems to relax a little bit. This is the whole premise behind carnivore. It's not about just eating as much meat as you can. It's not about just increasing your carbon footprint or anything like that. It's nothing to do with that. It's all about basically an autoimmune paleo type approach where we're just limiting so many different things that our body actually comes back down to baseline. You see a lot of anti-inflammatory effect. Dr. Shawn Baker is really the guy who invented the carnivore diet, and he knows a lot of what he's doing. So let's go ahead and do this. So first off, I do want to say that if you're doing the carnivore challenge, there is a special offer from ButcherBox down in the description for anyone that's doing this challenge. So extreme discounts on meat bundles from ButcherBox that you can get delivered right to your doorstep. I'm a huge fan of ButcherBox. They're a huge part of this channel to begin with, but they're really throwing it out to everybody for this particular challenge. So if you want to get your meat cheaper and don't want to have to do a huge grocery haul, please take advantage of them down in the description. Huge thank you to you guys at ButcherBox. All right, so here's how I want you to start your day. Okay, I'm a big fan of doing apple cider vinegar right when you start your day. You roll out of bed. I always start my day with some apple cider vinegar. You do a couple tablespoons of apple cider vinegar in like 10 to 12 ounces of water, along with a little pinch of pink Himalayan salt or Redmond real salt, just a good high quality salt. Okay, and then you really don't need to add a whole lot more. You can add a little bit of lemon if you want to, but let's go ahead and omit that from this particular challenge. Normally, I would also say add cayenne pepper, but cayenne is technically a nightshade, which is pretty inflammatory, so we'll keep it simple. Salt, apple cider vinegar, maybe a tiny bit of stevia in some water. That's how you start your day. Okay, then you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna do your workout, whatever you need to do. I'll talk about workouts later in this video. Okay, so meal number 1. I want you to keep it very lean protein. Again, with carnivore, there's not a whole lot of variables, but I do want you to keep your protein sources very lean. I'm talking about like a lean poultry or a lean fish in this particular case. Now, you can use salmon if it's sockeye salmon. Okay, sockeye salmon is pretty darn lean naturally, to be completely honest. And right now with ButcherBox, you can get some good sockeye salmon, so you'll be in good shape. The reason I want you to keep it lean is it allows you to use your fats from your stored body fat a little bit better. So you're already in somewhat of a fasted state when you wake up. So don't add a bunch of fats to the mix right then and there. This is your opportunity for your body to still use its stored fat a little bit more. So keep it nice and lean with breakfast in this particular case. Now, this isn't necessarily orthodox when it comes down to carnivore, but if you feel like you need additional calories, I would rather you add a little bit of avocado oil or a little bit of coconut oil to your lean meats with this meal, rather than eat a fatty cut of meat where we cannot control the fats that we're getting in. We can't control how much fat we're getting from a ribeye steak. We can't control how much fat we're getting from a very fatty cut of halibut, right? But we can control how much fat we're adding in if we're adding it in under our own supervision, right? With like a spoonful of coconut oil. Now, days 1 through 4 of the carnivore challenge, I do recommend that you consume a digestive enzyme with breakfast, okay? You don't have to do it, but I think it's going to help get that cycle going, get your body a little bit more accustomed to everything. Now, common question, can I add spices to this breakfast meal? Yes, you can, but avoid anything that has chili powder, cayenne, anything like that. Those are nightshades. Avoid tomato, avoid anything that has those kind of spices in it. I recommend keeping it simple. okay? Maybe a little bit of dill weed, maybe a little bit of oregano, maybe a little bit of just salt and pepper. Don't go crazy on it. Don't get all these crazy exorbitantly priced spices. They just add a lot of mystery to what you're eating, okay? So that's breakfast, pretty straightforward. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's move into meal number 2, or lunch. This is what I'm typically going to eat. This is where I will allow a fattier cut of meat, but preferably in a ground kind of meat. So I'm talking like a leaner ground beef that's still gonna have some fat in it, but not super high fat. A leaner ground turkey, maybe a leaner ground chicken. Okay, the reason that I'm going for like a ground meat is because it is a little bit easier to control the fats in this case. For example, like if we're using Butcher Box's ground beef, which by the way is awesome and super high omega-3, which we definitely need on this challenge, and again, you can get it down in the description. For example, if we're using their beef, we know exactly what the percentage of fat is. Like if we take a look at some ground beef and we know it's 20% or 15% fat, we know that. It's pretty easy to regulate it with a ground meat. However, if we're looking at like a ribeye steak, again, we can't control how much marbling is in there. It could be 10%, 15%, 20, 30, 40% fat, but we don't know. With lunch, I want you to keep it under control so you can still keep the fat loss accelerated and you can keep in control how much fat you're having. So like a 15 to 20% fat beef or chicken or anything like that would be perfect. Just keep it ground. Omega-3 profile is very important here. Okay, if you are not getting good quality grass-fed, grass-finished meat, let me say this again, if you're not getting good quality grass-finished meat, you need to make sure that you're supplementing like 2 to 3 grams of a good fish oil pill, a good high-quality fish oil pill. Here's what's gonna happen if you're on carnivore for too long and don't pay attention to your omega-3 profiles. You're gonna get all this grain-fed meat that's super high in soy phytoestrogens, super high in omega-6s, and you're gonna have a crazy inflammatory response that's going to negate exactly what you're going after with the carnivore challenge to begin with, okay? So you have to make sure you get the omega-3s in. The easiest way to do that is just to get grass-fed, grass-finished meat, to be completely honest. Another thing I recommend with this meal is don't scarf it, but try to eat it in like a 15-minute window. Basically, the reason I want you to do this is so that you have a nice long period between lunch and dinner. A lot of times when people eat more meat, they'll take like an hour to eat it. Don't graze on it over lunch because then it throws off the time between lunch and dinner. If you start eating lunch at 12 and you're eating all the way till 1 and then you eat dinner at 5, that's 4 hours versus essentially 5. The longer you go in between meals, the more gut motility you get, therefore the better gut cleaning, therefore the overall better anti-inflammatory response, okay? Then we move in to meal number 3. In this case, it's gonna be dinner. Dinner is where you can have more flexibility, okay? More flexibility with fat. Have a higher fat cut of meat. This is where I'd be okay with you having pork. This is where I'd be okay with you having a ribeye, a New York steak, some fattier cut. Okay, have a little bit more flexibility because we're winding down the day. We're not as interested in burning fat throughout the course of the day. We're interested in getting our good fats in. Saturated fat is gonna be A-okay at this point, so go ahead and get the ribeyes, things like that. Very important, you add some magnesium to the meal, okay? So get some kind of good quality magnesium, magnesium threonate, magnesium glycinate, dimagnesium malate. If you need recommendations on magnesium companies, let me know in the comment section, but generally speaking, just get some good magnesium in because you're going to be depleted of it pretty much certainly. Again, with dinner, I want you to add the enzymes. Days 1 through 4, okay? We wanna go ahead and we wanna add those digestive enzymes. Surf and turf. Dinner is also going to be a good time if you wanted to do a little bit of surf and turf. Okay, so it's a good time to combine those amino acids. So if you wanted to have a little bit of shrimp or you wanted to have a little bit of salmon alongside your steak, dinner is going to be the time to do that. Okay, sometimes combining those amino acids can be a little bit hard on the body, but dinner time is going to be the time to do it. Okay, get that plethora of amino acids that you need in there. Okay, then before bed, honestly, I would try not to eat something before bed. Okay, have a little bit more apple cider vinegar. Do whatever you can, even if you're a tiny bit hungry, which by the way, you probably won't be. Allow yourself to have that extra digestion. You need it. You don't want to consistently be eating on carnivore. You want to eat, digest, eat, digest. And lastly, if you're going to intermittent fast along with this, which I do recommend, just fast 2 days per week, okay? Pick 2 days that are not back-to-back and fast, like Tuesday, Friday, okay? And those are your strict days to fast, and I recommend doing a longer fast, like 20 or 24 hours on those days, rather than intermittent fasting throughout the week. Okay, no bulletproof coffee during this time either. Okay, I don't want the butter, I don't want the dairy, I want to keep it clean. Think carnivore, keep meat, okay? If you need to add extra oils, that's allowed. We need to keep the veggies out of the equation, as hard as that is to even fathom right now. Now, regarding the workouts really quick, let's touch on this. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, and I would say it's probably a good baseline for you to follow. I'm going to weight train 3 days per week. So I'm backing it down a little bit. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to focus on a little bit more intensity with my weight training, but I also want to use this period to actually recover, not to beat my body down. So I'm going to do an upper body day on Monday, a lower body day on Wednesday, and a full body weight training day on Friday. Okay? So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, upper, lower, full. I'm going to add cardio for about 20 minutes after only my Monday upper body workout, okay? Then on Tuesday and Saturday, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do additional cardio. I'm gonna do like 30 minutes of a nice run or a row. I do recommend doing some rowing because you have more androgen receptors in your upper body and you're gonna actually be able to put the meat to use a little bit more if you're just trying to maintain and maybe build a little bit of muscle, okay? So that leaves us with a couple of days. That leaves us with Thursday and Sunday. Thursday would be a good day to be like just a mobility day. Maybe just do some stretching, get some nice lunges in, get some mobility in. And Sunday should be a good quality rest day. Okay, maybe just active recovery, you go for a hike with the family, just, we go swimming, starting to get warm out, something like that. Okay, so now you have the full breakdown. Supplements are gonna be iffy and I'm not gonna touch on them. Generally speaking, I would just continue taking what you're already taking. Let's not throw that variable into the mix, but keep it clean, follow this structure. I'll put it down in the description below so you can follow it, but most importantly, do what works for you and stick to the plan as much as possible. And please, guys, ButcherBox is a big sponsor of this event and they're making it possible for not only myself, but for everybody that's watching this and everybody that's participating. So you're gonna save money if you check them out and you use the link in the description. I promise you'll save money that way. Anyway, let's go ahead and let's do this. I'm gonna update you with live broadcasts throughout the way and we're gonna have some fun. All right, see you soon.